Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop!
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
I want to trade, baby. Put me on the market. I guess I'm going to have to change the opening to our show from Taylor's gone to Richardson's gone. Anthony Richardson wanting a trade from the Colts. Good afternoon. Hello. Glad to have you along. Jim Coyle with you as always on this Friday. You made it through the week, people. And heading out to a weekend, another weekend that's not going to be as warm as I would like for it to be, or any of us for that matter. Although it is going to climb up to the 60s today and tomorrow, at least we're here in, well, I don't know, what do you call it, South Central Indiana, in Bloomington. I know that our peeps in Evansville, they get a little warmer. I'm a Southern Indiana guy. I know, trust me. I swear I remember when I was at school, the freaking difference in how much colder it got. I mean, I'm a wuss when it comes to that anyway. I don't like being cold. I don't like it. Appreciate that, but I do like you guys being along with us. I really, truly appreciate each and every one of you, really. Without you, we're pointless. We're without you guys, we're just somebody on, we might as well just be on Facebook or something. But appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hey, Reggie, checking in from Germany on the what do you call that? On the big antenna, on the world antenna, the intranet. Internet. I know it's internet. Appreciate you, brother. I do love all jabronis. You know what? That is a t-shirt. Justin, that's a great, all jabronis are welcome. You know what? Maybe that should be the nickname for you chatters that well, appreciate everybody that follows us and listens to us on radio each day. There's also a large group that likes to follow online on YouTube so they can watch, but comment as well. But they don't have a name. We need to give you guys a name. I do like jabronis, although that sounds. Yeah, but all jabronis are welcome. Man, I'm gonna have to use that. I love that, Justin. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, I was talking about Reggie checking in from Germany. Love that. We've got our buddy Fozan, who checks in regularly from Amman, Jordan, which is pretty cool. But yeah, love having you guys all around and no matter what. But if you are in and around Bloomington or heading to Bloomington for a game or to see your kid, head out to Buster's, Dave and Buster's. They've got specials all the time. You've got half-price games from Sunday through Thursday. Those 3 gigantic large wall TVs. Go in and watch an IU game or any game. The game at the NCAA tournament. Oh, my God, what a great place that would be. All those gigantic wall TVs. Turn the kids loose. They've got a full bar. Pretty fun place to go. game suites, private suites, got the whole deal. But Chatty Chatterton. Right now, Indiana in basketball, as I look at our friend Mike DeCourcy's bracket prognostication, this is not a good sign for Indiana. He's got them in their first 4 out right now. And guess what? They've got to play the team that went into West Lafayette last night and absolutely handled Purdue. And that does not look good for Indiana coming up, because I don't see any chance that the Hoosiers can slow down the Spartans' game inside. They're going to get killed unless they come up with some kind of game plan. But my gosh. Then you've got Jeremy Fears, and he has no fear. Indiana has had great trouble holding good guards down. Brian thinks Purdue's overrated. Nah. I mean, they're not overrated. They're where they should be. They're not rated as a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 seed. So they're where they should be. They're a team that can win 2 games. Purdue can get to the Sweet 16. And Purdue could get to the Elite 8. I believe that. They're good enough that they could upset that to get a 3rd win. Yeah, I could see that. They have enough talent. Braden Smith is a really, really good point guard. Fletcher Lawyer, when he's on, the dude's hitting. And so we'll talk more about it. Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com will join us. But, man, I thought Indiana basketball truly had a way of maybe fighting their way back in. But if they're truly in the last 4 out right now, and they've got to play Michigan State, whoo, we shall see, people. Glad to have you along. We're going to take a pause. Well, I speak it and it shall come true. Fozan checking in from Amman, Germany. He's waiting for the next football season now that basketball is over. It's not quite over yet, Fozan. Not quite. Hey, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. It's Friday. I can't say that enough. Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com with On 3 joining me now. And the spring game is in April, not too far away. Yes, I'm talking about football. No, I'm just kidding. Someone just said, I read that comment a minute ago. Now that basketball is over. I'm like, whoa, hold on. It's not quite over. I mean, the fat lady's warming up. I can hear her in the wings back there, getting the voice ready, but she's not quite singing yet. Kyler, I just mentioned that Mike DeCourcy, our friend, has Indiana in his first 4 out. That is not a good place to be when you have Michigan State coming to town and they are playing maybe their best basketball right now. They went into West Lafayette last night and absolutely handled Purdue, because Purdue is a good team, as I keep saying, but they're limited. Not limited like Indiana. Indiana's way more limited. But Purdue does not have a full complement of talent to compete at that level. Boy, Michigan State, those bigs, dude, Kyler, they were nasty in the middle. And then you got Jeremy Fears, who's just killing it.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State, when you look at complete teams like in the Big Ten, right, you obviously got Michigan, Illinois, kind of leading the pack there, but you also look at Michigan State, who has a lot of really good talent. They've got the athletic wings, they've got the playmaking guards, they've got the front court, they've got the shot makers, the shot creators. Like, they have pretty much everything that you want in a basketball team in order to compete at a very high level. Kind of the opposite of what Indiana is right now, unfortunately. So you talk about Indiana being, in the first 4 out right now. Obviously, there's a lot of different, bracketologies out there, a lot of different brackets out there and stuff. But most of them that you look at this point in time, it's either Indiana's the last 4 in or the first 4 out. Some of them have the next 4 out. It just kind of depends on what you kind of look at as far as like metric wise and all that stuff. But regardless of all that, projections and all that, Indiana has dug themselves in a pretty deep hole, right? So obviously that Northwestern loss, which I still think right now is still a quad 2 loss, but obviously you can't really count on that because Northwestern still has a tough schedule as well. So it is by far Indiana's worst loss of the season, and I don't think you can argue that at all. So really, really hurts them because obviously they had a golden opportunity here. You start your first of 3 straight home games. 2 of those games should have been very, very winnable, Northwestern being one of them, and Indiana just couldn't close it down, couldn't close it out. It's just that full 40 minutes of play that we just have not seen out of Indiana all season long, and once again shows, with this team how limited they are. If they are not hitting shots, any team in the country can beat them. They haven't shown that they can be consistently tough on the defensive end in order to kind of sneak away with games or anything like that. But yeah, Indiana, you did not want to put yourself in a position where it feels like now you got to win your next 3 games in order to feel comfortable back into the NCAA tournament. But that's exactly what Indiana has done to themselves.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a broken record because they are what they are as far as a team and team makeup and roster. It is what it is. Why it is what it is, that's a different question I don't have the answer to. I'd like to know. I'd like to be able to find out, but it doesn't matter. So they're going to be what they're going to be the rest of the season. And not only that, like any other year, when you are limited, it doesn't take long for great coaches to figure out what they need to do to defend you. I promise you, Tom Izzo, he probably took about 10 minutes saying, oh, okay, here's what we need to do. Bam, bam, bam. But that's the issue for Indiana is their limitations are known. And unless you get another incredible night by Lamar Wilkerson and a night where Tucker DeVries is on and a night where Nick Dorn is on and a night where Sam Alexis is on. We haven't seen them, the Hoosiers, play a game where all 4 of those guys against good competition were on. And that is the only way they can beat a team like Michigan State or whomever you want to put in that category.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The limitations, yes, are very well known with this Indiana team, and it is kind of at a point where probably not a great analysis here, but like it is what it is with this team, right? And when you look at what Coach DeVries has done with this team, 17 wins with this type of roster is pretty impressive, but Indiana obviously hasn't gotten those big marquee wins. They've got 2, maybe 3 right now. Don't really know where the Wisconsin game is really going to fall with them as far as a quad 1 victory or not, when he gets to the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple scout with Indiana, right? It's, limit their shots, limit what Lamar Wilkerson can do. Northwestern did that pretty well. I got a chance to talk to Chris Collins after the game. And he said, basically it was try to limit their shots, right? And Indiana's going to take a lot of threes. Northwestern did a really good job of switching off and, making things really tight for Indiana to get open looks. And when you have a better team like Michigan State coming in to Assembly Hall, they're obviously going to do that and then some. So for Indiana to, get kind of back on the right track and get that really big marquee win against Michigan State, you said it, and it's pretty, on point. Indiana's going to have 3 or 4 guys step up and have big games. They're going to have to be a lot better on the boards, which Indiana has not been that at all, and they really do struggle with big front courts. I mean, and you even look at like Northwestern, who Indiana probably matched up pretty well size-wise with them, annihilated Indiana on the boards, and a lot of that just comes down to effort, right? When you have a guy just like Sam Alexis, right, and he's really the only guy that's kind of crashing the boards consistently. Tucker DeVries has done a little bit better job, as the season's kind of gone on, but it's still a little up and down when it comes to that. And you don't have all that consistent guys that are crashing the boards on the defensive end. They're giving up very many or a lot of second chance points opportunities. But yeah, I mean, for Indiana to obviously, kind of, win out the rest of the season, they got to have more than just Lamar Wilkerson putting up major numbers, right? And you kind of get that. You kind of got that a little bit, in the post game with Lamar. You could sense kind of the frustration a little bit, and obviously, he's probably going to take a lot of pride in himself. He's got to play a lot better too, especially when it comes to putting together a full 40 minutes with him and stuff. But yeah, I think Indiana just needs guys to step up, and you kind of hope, with this long break that they have in between games right now, between the Northwestern game and now they play Michigan State on Sunday. Hopefully you have guys that are kind of get it a little bit, that they need to take some pressure off of Lamar Wilkerson, because right now it's just it comes down to the fact it's like if Lamar Wilkerson's not putting up 40 points a game, is Indiana really going to truly be in position to beat a big team like a Michigan State? It's just really hard to tell.
Yeah, and then if you want to start looking at metrics and numbers, which that's going to come down, and that's still a quad 2 loss, by the way,
North
uh,
lost.
Northwestern. But that got me thinking. But I was looking through other things, and I'll give you two teams here. One team is 17 and 11, 38th in the net, and another team is 16 and 11, 40th in the net. But the difference is the first team is 3 and 11 in quad 1-2 games. The second team is 7 and 10 in quad 1-2 games. Big difference. That's the second team's Texas.
Yeah.
They're lower in the net rank, but how in the hell does Indiana play so fewer quad 1-2 games playing in the Big Ten this year than Texas and the SEC, playing 17 so far?
Yeah, I mean, SEC's. I mean, I think the Big Ten is the best conference. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. But
I don't know. Big 12 is there too, buddy.
Big 12 is really good as well. I guess I'm pretty biased when it comes to the Big Ten. So, but SEC, I mean, they are a really good conference as well. And like, they over the years have improved like tremendously, how deep that they've gotten as far as that. But I mean, you look at Texas, yeah, like that is a little funky a little bit and stuff, but they are a pretty good team. And I do think that they definitely deserve to make the NCAA tournament just based on what they've done and the opportunities that they had in front of them. They've definitely taken a lot more, and you can just look at that based off the number you just said. They've definitely taken a lot more of the opportunities than what Indiana has this season. So when you're kind of doing the comparison right there, obviously Texas is has a leg up when it comes to when you compare to what Indiana has done.
Well, and instead of, we'll talk more about the NCAA tournament when we're closer to it, because hell, we've got the rest of the season to finish out, then the Big Ten tournament. So it's not like Indiana does not have opportunities. They do. They've got Michigan State coming in. They've got some other home games and a very, very, very important game to close out the regular season, Kyler, at Ohio State. Ohio State, where the hell did my standings go? But Ohio State is in that same group of teams in the Big Ten. There's three teams that are like in this little barrel that one of them's going to get kicked out. At least one of them. They're not going to make it. And right now, that bottom team at 7 and 10 in the conference, USC, who has a win over Indiana, but yeah, not looking good. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. But Indiana still, they've got to win that game against Ohio State. The Buckeyes are 9 and 8 in the conference. Indiana is underwater. They're 8 and 9 right now. And I don't know that finishing a game under in the Big Ten would knock you out. Normally it would. This year, probably not. But why you can't leave your fate in somebody else's hands. You have the chance to control it. Do it.
Yeah, and like that just goes back to my, the first kind of thing that I talked about, right? Indiana dug themselves a hole that they really didn't need to be in. They should have taken care of Northwestern, right? If they would have done that, you come into that Michigan State game pressure free, right? In a lot of ways, you have a big opportunity, but now all the pressure's on Indiana. And then if somehow you do knock off Michigan State, right? You've got Minnesota coming in, which a team that has beat you before, gave you your first loss of the season, or your first Big Ten loss of the season, I should say. But I was always big, and this is going back to a few weeks ago and stuff. I started kind of saying this out loud a little bit. You didn't want to put yourself in a situation where it felt like you have to go to Ohio State. The winner of that game gets into the NCAA tournament. The loser does not. And that's kind of what Indiana has put themselves into, because Ohio State is a team that, is still a very heavy bubble team, and they've been a bubble team pretty much all season, and they're still looking for some big time wins and everything on their end. But they're going to play with a lot of, the pressure's on for both of these teams. If Indiana does come in, having won their last two games versus Michigan State and Minnesota, Ohio State's going to be looking for another quad 1 win. So, Yeah, it's very tough, but I do feel like if Indiana can get to that 20-win mark, and they can probably go 500 in the Big Ten, maybe a game above 500, I still do think that the NCAA will probably put Indiana in, whether that's a first four game or whatever and stuff. I do think that they will put them in just because, and this has been like this, for probably the past couple of years, how weak the bubble is, right? And you're comparing them to other teams and stuff, and you look at the conference that Indiana plays in, and kind of the marquee games that they've had, throughout the season. Yeah, I mean, I think if Indiana can get up to that 20-win mark, I do think that they're in a pretty good position to sneak into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was, as a matter of fact, just looking, the Big Ten is going to have at least 8 teams with 20 wins. But Southeastern Conference is right there. Big 12, I didn't look at them because they're a smaller conference, but I am kind of curious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my God. At least 7. And depending on what TCU does, if they can get there. So there's 7 deep. So this is, I'm not even looking at the ACC, but I guess I should because they've got the number 1 team in the country in it.
A bit weaker, I would say, out of the main conferences, and it's been like that for the past few years.
Yeah, in everything. But they do have the number 1 team in Duke, Virginia. Man, what a year they've had now, 25-3. North Carolina is having a good year. They're 22-6. But hey, gee whiz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're going to end up with 9 teams with 20 wins or more. This, again, talked about this during football, talked about it last year, but it's the same. This is the most, if you take a few of the top teams out, if you take Duke out, take Michigan out, boy, is this a group. It's never been more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Wide open.
Yeah, well, that and it's, but everybody's on the same level. It's really bringing it down when you've got across the board in these conferences. I'm like, oh, wow. So, and the Big Ten's got 2 great teams and a couple of really good teams. You could do that around the horn. The Big 12, man, they've got Arizona, of course, at the top, but that's not their only great team. They've got a couple of really good teams, and as is the same with the Southeastern Conference, and so it's going to be exciting. But man, what does Indiana have to do this weekend? Was it Sunday, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a loaded question because you obviously got so many parts with Indiana that have to go right for them to win. Easy one to get out of the way, make shots. I mean, obviously you got to stay hot. You got to play consistent, from an offensive standpoint. You can't go cold like you have been going, especially, that Northwestern game, which was the final 2 minutes of the first half, they were super cold, and then they just felt like they never got their rhythm back in the second half. So got to do that. Lamar Wilkerson's got to get some help. He's got to get, 15, 16, 17 points from Tucker DeVries. He's got to get Sam Alexis going, in the post. He's got to be more consistent. You got to get bench help. Connor Enright hasn't been playing very well the last 2 games, so I want to see him kind of play a little bit better defensively, right? You don't expect a whole lot offensively from him, but keep getting Tate Conaway going as well. He's came back and provided you some good minutes the past 2 games, so get him going. Just make things a little bit difficult on the defensive end. Just do that, make things difficult in a way that Michigan State has to really, try to grind their way out to get some good offensive possessions. But yeah, I mean, for an Indiana team that, has so many flaws in it and stuff, a lot of things have to go well. And I'm probably missing at least 5 more things that they need to do in order to beat Michigan State.
Yeah, because that's what they need to do. Is going to be tough with the talent they have, brother. What's up next at thehoosier.com?
Yeah, so I mean, we've obviously got a lot of good stories. Colin's over at the NFL Combine, so he's had some really good coverage there and stuff. So a lot of the Indiana players that are there at the NFL Combine in Indy and everything. I'm going to have a sectional preview. Sectional start up next week, so I'm going to have a sectional preview of all the in-state Indiana targets, probably on Saturday or Sunday, and then obviously Sunday. Biggest game of the season, Michigan State coming in, Indiana needs it. So we'll have the whole crew there and everything. So, and then, March is here. So we'll see where Indiana lands and everything like that. So it's going to be a really busy time, but it's also the best time of the year, right?
Make sure you head to thehoosier.com. You can get 50% off. And, man, the national coverage, local coverage, it's incredible. Appreciate you.
Yep. See you, Jim.
Absolutely. Kyler Staley with thehoosier.com joining us here on this Friday. Glad to have you along. We've got lots more to talk about. Lots more peeps coming along. Zach Osterman will join. Bill Bender from the Sporting News as well. Take a seat, chill out, or take your next left turn. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Man, how'd that come out? It's Friday, man. All day long. Excited about that. It's going to get up a little decently warm, which is kind of cool after seeing an inch of snow on the ground yesterday. Not what I was looking forward to, but that's okay. It's February. Hey, saw that Indiana football sold out their season ticket sales, which is not only a first, it's pretty spectacular, especially I think, let's see, you would think that there's no sellout. Why would there be a sellout? Did you sell every seat available? I mean, I don't think so, right? Or did they? That would be pretty wild. Even for what Indiana's doing, I mean, it should happen.
But let's see. I have no idea how many students there are. I mean, I could guesstimate it, but I wonder how many season ticket sales that actually is. I don't know that they give that number, but this Tuesday, Indiana announced that they sold out their season ticket allotment just over a month after winning the national championship. Trisha Whitaker shared a screenshot from Indiana's ticketing portal that read the following. 2026 IU football season tickets are currently sold out. Fans interested in future availability are encouraged to join the official season ticket waiting list. There's a season ticket waiting list for Indiana football. 3 years ago, you could give tickets away and still not be sure people would go. That's a turnaround, man. I mean, obviously we know this has been one hell of a turnaround. But now, and I know this has been something that everyone's wondering, talking about stadium expansion. What will that look like? What will that look like? I'm curious. But I'd still like to know what the season ticket allotment is. I doubt that they'll say that, or if they did, I missed it. But that's incredible. But I'll tell you this. I've got some numbers for you that I happened to also see yesterday. First of all, Indiana's takeover of Atlanta for the Peach Bowl in the CFP semifinals helped drive a record $63.2 million to Atlanta's local economy. Pretty cool. But now let's look at revenue for Big Ten teams. Now, this is last year, okay? Not this past season, because this past season's numbers have not been it's too soon for that. But last year, when Ohio State won the national championship, let's see, the Buckeyes led the Big Ten, maybe the nation, I don't know, but they generated $336 million over their season. Home games, CFP run, yada, yada. Michigan. No, this is different. That's a different thing. All right. Now, also, I believe this is the season before and not last year. Big Ten ticket revenue. Number one, Michigan. Can't read my writing. $67.6 million. That's just ticket revenue. That's that 110,000 people a game deal right there. And they charge the media $50 to park. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And Michigan State does the same. It's the two damn Michigan schools. But number two is Ohio State in ticket revenue, right behind them at $60 million. But then the gap starts. And Penn State, that has a stadium just as big, they're $40 million behind. How that's possible, I don't know. But it's It's the reality. Now, here's one for you. Indiana is 12th. What was number one? Michigan, 67.6 million. Remember that number? Indiana, 12.7 million. Do the math. 66.7, 12.7. Yep. $55 million difference each year. Now, that's not the worst of it. Here's something that really should rile up Indiana fans. They're 12th. Indiana's 12th in that category. Number 11. Welcome your Purdue Boilermakers. Over a $1.1 million more than Indiana. Yeah, their stadium holds a couple thousand more. But really? Look at the product. And they still are making more money in ticket revenue. So if you think Indiana does not have to quickly look at stadium expansion, you're wrong. But it's because of this. And I'm not saying, what will that entail? I don't know. I'm not an architect. I can give you my opinion that I think it should probably be around right now with, they keep adding those suites and this and that, and they can get up to 56,000 people at a game right now. The capacity is like 53, but they can get around 56 if it's packed to the gills. That's not close to enough, but they're not going to expand that to 100,000 or anything crazy like that. That would be stupid to double your capacity. But it's very expensive to do this. So you want to do it once. Unless you have a reason to do it twice, a good reason. But one of these is going to be a new press box. And when I say press box, that's just the name I'm going to use for it. Sweet. Maybe I should call it Sweet Box. I don't know. But because the press box is just a small part of it. It's the suites. It's those commercial suites that you sell. Big dollars. Big dollars. Now, that's not going to get a ton more people in, but it brings in way more revenue per person than just somebody sitting down there in a seat. That's why those are very important. But you also want more seats for the average Joe. Give everybody a chance to come watch that team play. I think that ultimately the stadium capacity needs to be around. You need to add. Yeah, someone just said it, and I'm right there on that same number. 15 to 20,000 more to what they currently have. I was going to try to give you credit, whoever it was, but I put it on the. But anyway, yeah, I think they need to get up to, I don't know, about 70,000. 70,000 with those luxury suites. That will raise Indiana up enough because you have to make more money. You have one of the highest, if not the highest paid coach in college football now. You're paying him $13 million. $13 million. You got to keep making money. You got to keep going. You got to keep succeeding in the postseason. When you're paying a coach that much, you have to keep winning in the postseason to make that extra money. But the thing about the Big Ten is a lot of money goes into the pool for everybody to share. 18 teams. So there's a great question. Jason asked, do they have enough parking space? You know what? Build it and they will come. No, probably not necessarily. But that's something else that could be done. You could build, all the students that use all the parking, build a freaking parking garage on site. You've got all that space. Build a small parking garage. Go up. You can do that. I mean, they have those everywhere. Like at Michigan State, they have them. But see, Michigan State is more in town. The stadium. A lot of these stadiums, if you go to them, they're in a lot of times just right in town. And so it's easier to do this. Where Indiana's is on the north end of campus. It's kind of separated from everything else. But that's my thoughts on that. Here's something that very interesting, and I'll be talking with Bill Bender about. The NCAA is trying to tackle tampering by schools. There's been a flurry of lawsuits by some of these. It's so stupid. You've got everybody it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out to be. The NCAA is, I feel a little bad for the NCAA because it's kind of hard to accomplish anything when you're spending most of your time in court over the same stupid things. The costs. The schools are the NCAA. And all of this cost that's being generated because of this lawsuits by the damn schools, it's a cycle that it's not a cycle that is a winning strategy. But in addition to trying to, I'll talk more about the tampering. They use message language like aggressive pursuit of tampering violators with significant penalties. Now that comes after 18 months of not doing anything, but that was mainly because they were getting through the House settlement. But with all of the high profile, Dabo Sweeney call it out, Paul Golding at Ole Miss, and having proof, Kurt Signetti has called it out, but didn't name names. Name names. He named names. Will the NCAA do anything? But also, how about the athletes? Athletes involved in that stuff. If they're just turning the information in, that is cool. That's what you should do. That's otherwise, to me, it is no different than somebody coming up and saying, "Hey, dude, why don't you miss some threes tonight or have 6 turnovers or whatever?" You have the option of making that decision. You have to make that decision. So it's your decision to make. If someone is tampering with you, you now have the decision to engage it or disengage it. If a player engages it, they are just as guilty as the guilty party. So, how's that going to work? I hope it works much like the gambling when they're starting to catch these guys. We'll see. We shall see. And I talked about all those numbers earlier with the Big Ten ticket revenue, this, that, and the other thing. Something I forgot to mention. Poor Rutgers. Since they joined the Big Ten in 2014, they've lost nearly $200 million. And that's only if you don't count the $328 million they've received in student fees and the support from New Jersey. If you add that in, it's only $519 million that they've lost. That's working for the Big Ten. They get the New York TV market. It's not working for Rutgers. That's them. Something I'll be talking about, of course, with Bill Bender. You probably saw yesterday that the president is going to be hosting a commission on sports, college athletics, and they have invited everybody but me, it seems like. I did laugh at some of the people that were invited. Doesn't mean they're all going to come. But this is a big deal. But I don't know that nothing's going to get accomplished there. That's for sure. For one thing, again, I'm not political, so this has nothing to do with, don't take this to have anything to do with political views, because I treat everything the same. I don't think Donald Trump's the guy you want. Now, I'm glad he's getting it going, if something gets going, but the way he makes decisions, please, I hope he has nothing to do with the decision or any decisions. The commissioners of the 4 major sports leagues, the NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball, will be there. I think that is huge. They can say, hey, you guys, what the hell are you doing? Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner. Adam Silver from the NBA. Rob Manfred from Major League Baseball. And the NHL's Gary Bettman. What the hell is he going to offer? They're all scheduled. Scott Dolson is expected to be there as well. But it's a long list. The Cody Campbell dude, who supports Texas Tech, basically is their athletic money. But I wish I had that full list. Daggone it, of people that are going. It's a long list of people that were invited. But even, oh my, the all sports knowing Condoleezza Rice, because she used to be on the college football committee. That was great. Yeah. But there are just people that I'm like, dude, you've got like 40 people. What the hell's going to, half the people are not even going to speak. You don't need all those people. First of all, gather the information you need, then go there, select some people that really could add something to this. I don't mean to cut on her, but Conda's, I'll talk more about this on the other side. I've got to take a break, but appreciate you guys being with us on this Friday. More coming up after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level it all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, and I've been talking about a lot of things. One thing is the combine is still going on up in Indianapolis. Zach Osterman, I believe, are you on your way there right now, sir?
I am, yeah. Sorry, that's if there's some background noise, I'm in the car at the moment. So
no, you actually sound beautiful. A great, rich background, very full sound. But yeah, Zach heading up to the NFL Combine, where first of all, it's just we're very fortunate to have that event here. But now with Indiana football having increased their awareness and around so much with so many players, 9 players there, a lot going on. And this morning, I believe that Fernando Mendoza spoke. Yesterday, there were several former Indiana players that spoke, and a lot happening there, Zach.
yeah, I mean, from Indiana's perspective, this was always expected, right? I mean, this was a record number, 9 players. I think, as you said there, that's a program record for one combine. Obviously, the potential for multiple first rounders with the way that Omar Cooper seems to be moving up some draft boards. The potential for, I can't even remember who Indiana's last first rounder was off the top of my head. But of course, Indiana's never had the number 1 overall pick. And a lot of these guys, I think, are going to wind up doing a fair bit more from an activity perspective at IU's Pro Day next month, or I guess in 2 months, technically. But still the combine is kind of, one of those moments in the NFL calendar when if all eyes are on you the way they are for Indiana here, it's meaningful for your program. And listen, it's not going to stop. If we sit here and, we think about the guys Indiana's got coming back next year that I suspect, given a fair wind, will be invited to the combine. I think you'd probably see some combination of Tyreek Tucker, Carter Smith, Isaiah Jones, Amari Farrell. Maybe, if there might be some guys that might be ready to come out early, like a Charlie Becker or a Nick Marsh. Wouldn't be surprised if Josh Hoover's there. And the point is, it goes on and on. This is not going to be a one-time thing, I suspect, for Indiana either.
No, absolutely not. I think this is going to be the norm going forward for Indiana. Trying to look down through here quickly to see how many first round draft picks Indiana has ever had. That'll take me a while to figure out. But the last first rounder was back in 2018 with Ian Thomas, the wide receiver, like tight end that went to the Panthers. But yeah, that's been too long, because in between there, it's been a 10th rounder, a 29th rounder, a 30th rounder, 20th, the third round to Micah McFadden, but the last year, 11th to Curtis Rourke and CJ West. But that worked out great for both of those guys.
Yeah, it did. And it's part of it's the lesson of just you you need the right fit, and you can worry about how high you get drafted. Obviously, some of that will affect your money and all that, but you need a place that, I think Curtis Work's a good example. San Francisco, at least so far, and I'm not going to act like I've stayed completely dialed in on San Fran, but it seems like that was a good place for him, both from a developmental perspective and also from the perspective of them having a good plan for him coming in. He was injured, he was recovering, and kind of this. It seemed like he was on a good path of here's how we're going to get you healthy, then we're going to develop you, coach you up, and then we're going to sort of bring you into our system. So, yeah, I mean, the fit is always going to be really important for these guys.
Yeah, and I was wrong about that, Zach. I was looking at the wrong column. The last first-round pick for Indiana, you've got to go back to 1994 and Thomas Lewis. Who went to the Giants with the 24th pick. But that is a long, long time to not have a single first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, again, there have been plenty of years recently when Indiana's not even had anybody at the combine. I'd have to sit here and rack my brain, but there are years where maybe one guy gets a combine invite. It really has been a long time. And again, the likelihood here is that, at least I would say the escalating likelihood is that Indiana is going to have 2 first-round picks because of the way Omar Cooper seems to be sort of moving through the gears. And there are a lot of teams that really like his skill set, maybe at that back end of the first round. And, if you're back into the first round, it's not hard to fall out. It's not hard for maybe 1 or 2 guys to go in spots that people didn't expect, and suddenly that shuffles up the draft board and you wind up, kind of drop down a little bit. But if you are maybe a back end first round talent, the worst you're going to do is probably second round. And that's still, I think that's still guaranteed money. And that's still the kind of draft pick that's going to move a team to invest in you and in your future, and in sort of giving you, full opportunity to maximize your potential. So, I mean, again, this stuff matters in exactly the ways that people think it does. It matters that you can show recruits you have the, sort of the facilities to offer them these kinds of opportunities. And it matters that, by the sounds of it, there is an expectation of a pretty significant IU fan turnout for some of the fan facing stuff this weekend. It is just kind of another brick in the wall of this wider conversation about all the ways that Indiana has sort of remade its image in football.
Yeah, Indiana's only had 10 first-round draft picks ever, Zach, and 10 of those came 1974 or prior, to really put into perspective. I agree with you. I've been talking about Omar Cooper, that I think he is going to be a first-round pick. He has just been, there's been such a buzz around him, but he deservingly so. There's so much about him. It's not like, oh, well, he's just this fast guy. Man, he's got so many great qualities. He's a great guy, a great teammate. He's a superb athlete, former great basketball player, but he just has great intangibles. He's not just a wide receiver. I think he'd be a hell of a slot back, but you can use him in a lot of different ways, and those are very, very valuable players. I think he's going to be a first-round steal for someone, but I think after going however many years with having 10 first-round picks, I think Indiana has 2 this season, which that is the recruiting has been going extraordinarily well because of all of the things that have happened. But this is just going to continue to add to that, and you already mentioned that. I think I lost Zach for a second. He's going through a bad area. Zach's on the phone as he travels to Indianapolis to cover the. Yeah, you're back with us. I'm just letting people know that you're on your way up to
Indianapolis to cover the NFL Combine.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm the other side of Martinsville, and I think I just kind of dipped out for a second. But
Is that, yeah, when you go through Martinsville, it's like going to the dark side of the moon, isn't it?
Well, you go through a lot faster these days, at least.
Yeah, just
so,
kidding.
No,
I love
I think with Omar in particular, what is always, someone said this to me years ago, and they were talking about the NBA draft, but I think this is true just generally in any sport. Every time you step up a level, I think the question you ask is, do you have any elite skills at that level? Because you can be good to really good at a whole lot of stuff, but you have to have one or two or maybe three things that you are just genuinely elite at. And they don't necessarily have to be, 3-point shooting or, 40 time. Like Trace Jackson Davis, one of his elite skills is he gets off the floor on his second jump faster than almost anybody else. And that sounds simplistic, but that's the difference sometimes between a block and a foul, or between clearing the boards or allowing an offensive rebound. That's an elite skill that has made for him an NBA career. And you can talk about some of the other stuff and it helps, but like that, I know that sounds simplistic, but it's like it can be that small stuff. Omar Cooper has a knack for yards after catch. And in a cover 2 world where increasingly teams just do not throw the ball deep because of the way that defenses are able to disguise coverages and how athletic safeties have gotten, and the ability to play cover 2 and cover 3 from what we would, if you're drawing it up on a sheet of paper or on a whiteboard, seem like unconventional or difficult sort of starting positions at the snap of the ball. If the ball's not going to get downfield through the quarterback's arm so consistently, it's got to get downfield somehow. And that is, I think, more often now through a receiver's ability to make catches in traffic and then gain yards after catch. And that is something that Omar Cooper has shown, frankly, an elite proficiency for. There are some other things. I think his catch radius, or as someone said to me yesterday, his elasticity, his ability to sort of control his body. You think about some of the difficult catches he made. I'm thinking about the catch that was thrown behind him at Purdue. I'm thinking about the catch he made at Oregon in the win in October. That, sometimes you call that catch radius. Really what you're talking about is a player's ability to maintain their center of gravity and their balance while contorting their body. And of course, you can also think of a time when he did that particularly well in the back of the end zone at Penn State. There are just some things that he does really, really well. And then he's got very good hands. He's got obviously breakaway speed. He's got like a thick body. He's very muscular. He can take contact. But there are just some things that I think he does exceptionally well that maybe don't, I don't know exactly where you'd quantify them if you were creating him in a video game and you were assigning all his attributes a rating out of 100. But again, like yards after catch is an example. He just has a remarkable open ability, and that matters so much for modern offenses.
No doubt it does. Well, I don't want to keep you while you are heading up to Indy. Enjoy, and probably see you at some point there. Enjoy it, and look forward to it, brother. Safe travels.
Sounds good, Jim. Thanks for having me, as always.
Zach Osterman, the IU insider for the Indy Star, joining us. Up next, the great, the incomparable Bill Bender from The Sporting News after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming, or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. And there's no better way to end this week and head into the weekend than with our old friend Bill Bender from the Sporting News. How's it going, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure always, brother. It's my pleasure. Surprised you're not heading over to the Combine.
Yeah, no, I'm off the couch this weekend. I definitely paid attention yesterday. Obviously, Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, my Lord. We knew about Sonny during his time at Pickerington Central. It's 10 minutes from my house. So I knew he could jump. I didn't know he could jump 43 inches and then run the 40 that he did, and for Arvell to come behind him. Those two were amazing yesterday.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see these because there are always guys you're like, oh, like oh my, look at that. Then there's the oh man. I'm very interested to see the quarterbacks work out. Diego Pavia, how he's going to navigate his obvious challenges. I'm not trying to make fun of, but he's much less taller than your typical NFL quarterback, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah.
Not that guys haven't overcome that in the past. They have. And we've seen them. So, and he had a freaking year at Vanderbilt. But so it's going to be interesting. He may shock some people. Who knows?
Yeah, he'll be a guy that we watch very closely over the quarterback day. And I think, Jim, it's just going to generate a reaction no matter what. There's a section of college football fans that want Diego Pavia to fail. There's a section of college football fans that think he's Johnny Manziel 2.0. But remember, Johnny was a first-round pick. Whether you believed he should have been or not to Cleveland. I think his height will get a lot of attention, much like Ruben Bain's arm length got, I think, too much attention yesterday. You and I were there. Ruben Bain can play football. And
dude's a man. Got him a job waiting on him.
What that means for him at the NFL, just because his arms are a little bit shorter, I get but I think this is a different NFL in some ways. You saw how wide he lined up and how he was able to wreak havoc not only on Indiana but Ohio State and Texas A&M, the entire playoff run. Ole Miss, he is the production on film outweighs, I think, an inch on his arms, but I could be wrong.
Hey, yeah, we'll find out because there's always been surprises. There is so much going on to talk about. This is not one of those, but I just think it's funny, and for you, you'll enjoy it. Indiana football sold out their season ticket allotment. They announced on Tuesday. That night, IU basketball would host Northwestern and lose in front of a apathetic crowd,
of sorts. So oh my, this is there you go. If nothing completes this turnaround more so than that, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, obviously, it well, does it mean larger stadium renovations, those kind of things down the road? You always wonder that with the increased
Talked
interest
about that.
in the increased interest in the program, ticket sales will go up. It's a far cry from that picture we saw with Signetti, his first game and how little the attendance was versus,
I've been there. I know.
I was on the bus on the way to the CFP championship game, and I overheard, I think there were a couple, maybe Indiana students, student newspaper. I don't TV, whatever. And one of them said something to the effect of, who was the FCS opponent that beat Indiana? Or no, did Akron beat Indiana?
Akron, no, but Indiana took 4 overtimes to get it done.
He was like the bruises these two students were comparing, where one was saying, I was at this game. He's like, well, I was at the Akron game. And it was like these badges of honor of how bad Indiana was at the time versus now you're going to have sold out stadiums. And, I keep circling and where I live, but I keep circling that Ohio State game. And what a spotlight that'll be for Indiana. I remember the energy pulsating off the Illinois game this year. I would amplify that by 10, 20, 50, whatever, when Ohio State rolls in there. Because if you beat them twice, then the columns start, as you know, Jim, about the changing of the guard and Signetti's got Ohio State's number, those type things.
It has, more importantly, it'll start with having Ryan Day's number.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wonder, like, the dude just won a national championship, but he did beat Michigan finally, but he doesn't have a great record against Michigan. Hasn't won a Big Ten title, Ohio State, since 2020 still. And that was a year that Indiana should have gone to the Big Ten championship, I still think. But
that's a wild stat to think about, that Ohio State, for all their dominance, hasn't won the Big Ten championship in the last 5 seasons, right? Like Oregon, Michigan with 3, Indiana. But this is part of this conference. It's thriving. We're getting in those early stages of, you're starting to see list season, as I like to call it. It starts earlier and earlier. We're not even to March yet, and it started. When I do the top 25 coaches in college football here in a couple months, I said to I think it was Bobby Carpenter yesterday, the Big Ten will have the most guys in the top 25. No question. It's a matter of how many. I mean, there are so many good coaches in the conference right now.
Well, not only that, even the upcoming NFL draft, the SEC has owned that. And they're going to have more players in it again, but they're not going to have more players at the top now. They're not going to have more players in the top 30, in the top, I don't know if it's top
5,
or not, but
top 5. Think about this, Chip. The top 5 could be all Big Ten guys. If it breaks this way, like
Ruben Bain, I don't know. He may break that up.
Maybe, but I mean, Arvell Reese might climb over him, and I don't know how high Sonny will go now after yesterday. Carnell Tate's going to be a first rounder. I heard in the last segment, I assume you guys were talking about Omar. He's going to crack the first round.
I see that too. I mean, there is no particular player that I've heard with such a buzz. I mean, like, the dude hadn't even done anything at
he hadn't even stepped on the field yet. And I don't know what you watch for when you watch the combine. Yesterday, for example, I can sit here and pretend like I'm a defensive line coach. I'm not, but I do. Do you feel like, Jim, you've watched it enough that, like, when you watch the defensive lineman, this is just me, all right? When I watch the defensive lineman go through the drill where they have to go through the cones and hit everything, and then they tackle a dummy, I feel like I can spot guys that I was like, he's moving better. I can't say what their NFL career was like. That guy did that the best. I feel like I can do that part, but you can only judge so much off the 40. But I did think Sonny looked good, Arvell looked good. The Texas Tech guys looked good. David Bailey and Lee Hunter. They're really good football players. So I mean, those were some of the winners off of yesterday, no question.
Yeah, and it's about quickness. I mean, how many defensive linemen have to run 40 yards? They usually don't, but they have to move 5 yards left or 5 yards right and 5 yards forward. To me, that's the boom, boom, boom. It's the quickness and all that. Yeah, some of those tests are just dumb, but It is what it is, because sometimes you can't judge a player by a speed or whatever, because there's that thing inside of them. Well, I'll give you a perfect example. D'Angelo Pons. I think this dude's getting drafted, and he's 5 foot nothing and 100 and nothing pounds, but will knock the ever loving crap out of you. And if you don't believe me, go back to the national championship game. Watch the shot he gives the Miami tight end right there on the sideline, knocked him into the first row. Go back to the Rose Bowl when he breaks Ty Simpson's rib and knocked him out of the game. This dude is vicious.
He reminds me of Antoine Winfield, the original Antoine Winfield, not junior that played safety for the Buccaneers, the one that played corner for the Bills with his toughness and his hits and his coverage. And, there's intangibles there with D'Angelo. Got that aura of I'm the best guy on the field. Now, there'll be bumps at the NFL level, but he's going to be one of those bargain guys that, like, when you draft him, nobody's going to say, oh, that's a reach, anything like that. He's a tough kid. He was one of my favorite players on Indiana this year. He was the first team. I don't remember who put everybody where, but I know we had him on our first team All-American team, and he lived up to that. He was a no-doubter for me.
No question. Let's see. What is the latest that you've got out?
I did some NFL Combine stuff today. I wrote about Elliott Cadeau ahead of tonight's game with Illinois, the Michigan point guard, who's kind of an X-factor player for them when he's on.
How about these big time Big Ten games we've been having, man? I've had a blast hell yes, I have had a blast watching these games. Last night was another one with Purdue and Michigan State. Boy, Michigan State looked really good. They've got a great combination inside and out with Jeremy Fears and their big boys in the middle that are they get dominant, man. But Michigan, they took it on the chin to Duke, but they'll learn from that. Illinois is a dangerous team.
And now we'll find out tonight, with Michigan going to the Orange Crush. And one of the things about these Big Ten games, teams can score. This isn't my teenage years of actually in my teenage years, they actually scored. It's not my 20s and 30s of Big Ten basketball where they were playing, rock fights. These teams can score. They can get up and down. They're a lot of fun to watch. Big Ten basketball is a lot of fun to watch. And I think as we get into the Big Ten tournament next week, it's going to be great. Like you said, Jim, there's a good game on every night. I'll flip through it. And I know UConn St. John's wasn't a good game, but I still sat there and watched it just because
Holy smokes. I mean, how does a team like St. John's get beat that? Well, I'll tell you how. I don't know what the run ended up being, but I know it was at least an 18-point run. You don't survive those.
He missed shots for like a half hour.
Yeah. It just Rick Pitino, I guarantee you, he knew the game was over. But I love watching him as a coach. He's great. But wow, they had lost one game in their conference all year, and they get beat by 1,000. Wow. And that also brings to mind, how good is UConn?
Oh, I mean, they're outstanding. And, another team fighting for a 1 seed. This tournament is deep with teams that can actually win this thing. It's deep with X-factor teams like Kansas, where, we've been talking so much about whether Darren Peterson's going to play. When he's on the court, they're really good. BYU's good. DeBonsa, I mean, he's a guy that's averaging over like 30 points a game over the last 3 weeks. I think Florida is probably the defending national champs, by the way, are probably being talked about as little as anybody right now. And they've got a really good team. So the tournament, when we get into it, I'm going to beg your listeners to hear me out on this one. If we get into the tournament and the chalk gets through and the first weekend's kind of boring, that's okay. Because I think the second weekend, if you get a lot of these Sweet 16 teams through, the best weekend of the tournament potentially could be the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, if all these teams get through.
I want chalk, especially early on. I don't want to see a good team go down that will prevent a great game later, because it just having maybe either a bad day or they're having just an outstanding day, can't miss, and it just screws up what we could have. I want to see the good games. I want to see what I saw last night. I want to see what I'm going to see tonight. I want to see what I saw with Michigan and Duke. That was
It felt like a Final Four game. It felt like
Yes,
a Final
it
Four
did.
game. And the way they were playing, the intensity, and Boozer, obviously Duke's length got to Michigan a little bit. They were good, and what a good game that was. So yeah, Jim, I think we've got so many of those ahead. Now there will be inevitably somebody bust the bracket, and it could be a team like like a North Dakota State wins a first round game, somebody like that. There's a lot of
somebody's going to.
Yeah, well, that happens every year. And I'm curious to see what they end up doing with the Miami Redhawks, who can just continue to march on, and where they see
Ironically,
them.
I think it may have been Mike's. I'm pretty sure it was bracket. I only use Mike's brackets. And the funny thing is, I always ask him, how do we find those? You know how I find them every time? I just type in Mike DeCourcy's brackets. Comes up every time.
Yeah, we do one too. Like I always compare. So he does one, and then
So you do
one.
separate? You do a separate one?
I do a separate for sporting news, and we have like a, Mike's is always better. First of all, don't let him hear that. Don't let him. But
there's no better. There's no better. There's just
good.
different. We need different flavors.
His is really good, and he wrote a great column this week about this whole idea, the notion of the tournament expanding, and here's why they shouldn't, and just look at the bubble. And he was pointing out some of the teams and some of the hypocrisies there as reasons why we don't need more teams in the tournament. I always go by the and I'm old school. I still have a printer. I still fill out the when the tournament comes and I fill out my brackets, I have a green here. I'll show you. It's actually right here. Here's some real life. I use this to highlight the winners.
Got him a green highlighter.
I got a green highlighter for my wins, and then I X out and pen. But the point is, Jim, I still print the bracket out, and then and I think the bracket's meant to be on one piece of paper. I don't want to print out a bracket with four. That's my long-winded way of saying
I love that.
The bracket does not belong on more than one piece of paper. That's always my speech with that.
Here's my thing. Charlie Baker keeps saying everybody's for it. Who's for it? Who the hell are you talking about? That sounds like it's going to be bigger. It's going to be the biggest, best tournament you've ever seen. Everybody wants it. Who wants it? I've not heard one person. Maybe I'm sure there's some ADs in these low schools. Yeah, maybe, but nobody else. Last year you didn't even have enough quality teams. Right now, I looked yesterday at the seeds, I think from 12 down. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 5. That's 20 teams. 20 teams that have zero chance of anything. 20, that's a third.
Right. And it took me a while to adjust to the first four. And now I started to get into it a little bit. Like they'll have a decent first four matchup, but then you're like, I'm waiting.
Indiana's only hope.
Well, I wait to fill out my bracket till the first night's done. And then the second night, I was like, I inevitably never take those teams to win. So you're like the next game. So like they win the one. So when one of those teams goes on a run, which has happened, I get angry. But I don't see a need to go for more than 68. I think that's more than good enough. You're rewarding mediocrity. I think Mike pointed to Wake Forest and their record in his column. Not picking on Wake Forest or anything, but we don't need. I always say we can do the Ken Palm, we can do the net, but you take a team like Auburn. I would say, Jim, don't you agree? At some point, you got to win games. You can't just rely on a quad one thing metric. You got to win basketball games.
Yes, you have to beat teams, especially the teams you're supposed to beat. Right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I've got your bracket pulled up.
Yeah,
we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll talk about the did you get invited to Donald Trump's commission?
No, I didn't get one. I talked about that earlier.
I thought I was the only person that didn't get invited to go, it seemed.
We could talk about that commission, absolutely.
Bill Bender from the Sporting News with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, and so are you. Glad to have you back with more
Right after these messages, Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NicoSports.com.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back. It is Friday all day long, baby. The weekend has arrived. Bill Bender from the Sporting News is with me here at Coyle at ISB Radio. William, when we last left a few moments ago, I was talking about your brackets. And the first thing I see that I can have fun and disagree on is Iowa State being a #1 seed. I agree with all your other #1 seeds, of course. That's easy. Michigan, Arizona, and Duke. No one. They're not moving anywhere. That fourth #1. It's going to be a little bit of a revolving door between. Iowa State has got a shot at it. Obviously, UConn is going to be fighting there. Houston, and then Florida's sitting down there, but. Illinois, you never know. They're 4th in the Ken Palm, 4th in the net. They've got the #1 offense in the country. So I still see them as there's not only a #1 seed possibility, but a national champion possibility.
Yeah, it's fluid. Obviously, that was.
Oh yeah, of course.
We published that Tuesday, so UConn's probably a 1 again. I would bump UConn up to 1. That dogfight with some of these Big 12 schools. You mentioned Illinois. They're a 2 in some other bracketologies. I bumped Florida up to a 2. I think Florida's playing great right now. And I'm just kind of
their numbers are great, man. They're
so like
6 in the Ken Palm and 9 in the net.
One of Illinois and Purdue is going to be a 2, and one of Illinois and Purdue is going to be a 3. Yeah. I can see because and we do this every year. When I do bracketology, I probably. We'll see if it holds this year, but I tend to overseed Big Ten teams. And they'll be like, how in the world are they a 5? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Michigan State, Nebraska will be in the mix as well. So when you have 5 Big Ten teams that are basically in the Sweet 16 of the field, that's pretty darn good.
There will be 5 Big Ten teams. I was looking at this yesterday too. 5 Big Ten teams in the top 4 seed lines.
That's what I meant. That's how I said it poorly. Like you have 5, if they did when you have the bracket preview, 5 are in 1 through 4. So 5 teams are expected to get to the second weekend. That would be a better way to say it, right?
Yeah, I'm not very good at math or anything really, but it's like one of those things when you see on TV and they show someone thinking, they show all those numbers up. I just have to shut my eyes and just see rows of 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I think about it, man. But something people I think a lot don't think about is those rows of 4 are actually in a specific order as well. It's, you go to 1, 2, 3, 4, then it's 5A, 5B, 5C, and 5D.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I love the parity. Parity is the word I was looking for earlier, Bill. The parity across the conferences is utterly amazing. I didn't, even the ACC that I didn't think was that good, I was like, damn, they've got like 8 teams that are going to be 20-win teams. Each conference has like 8 or 9 20-win teams. That's 4 times 8 is 32. There's half your field.
It makes it hard to sort out, the bubble. And we talked about that earlier because you have like almost 3 tiers within each conference. You're like the locks, the, middle seeds type teams. And in the Big Ten, that's teams like Iowa, that they're probably going to get in, but there's still at least a little work to do. And then you get into the bubble of, Ohio State, Indiana, USC, UCLA to some extent, but I think they were really helped by the win against Illinois. Big 12, same deal. You get down to like TCU, they're probably in that last 4 out, but there's room to go up for them. ACC teams like Virginia Tech, and they're hard. Those are the 3. It takes a little time. You get into those conferences and you're like, man, I've got to sort this out because it takes a minute. The other one's not as much. And the SEC to some level. The SEC's got a bunch of teams that are going to get in the tournament.
I was there as deep as the Big 10 or Big 12. The SEC doesn't have the teams at the top. Florida is their best right now. And it's not that they're bad. It's just all the other conferences are kind of double and tripled up there at that level. That's the only difference that I see. Coming up on March 6th so we're looking, that's a week from today.
That's a week. We've got a week. There'll be teams punching birth.
Wouldn't you have thought this would have been better to do outside of basketball season?
Right. The commission, the council, like maybe wait for this thing to because next Sunday we have teams that are punching tickets to the dance, the bracket tracker and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there's everybody. I've mentioned all these different people that are going. I don't even know. I can't remember. I don't have the full list in front of me, but it's so many that it's too many. We're back to having Condoleezza Rice. What the flip does she know about designing sports? And I'm not saying her, but there's so many other people that I'm like, okay, what is it you're going to be able to offer, especially with so many people in the room? I love the fact of the commissioners of the of the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, because they're probably looking at the NCAA or at college and going, what the hell are you all doing? You've got a great product now, but the guardrails are freaking like a spaghetti tree.
Yeah, obviously Nick Saban, some other names on there, and we're going to see what they come up with. But I just don't know how much the White House can fix college football, you know what I mean, or college basketball or college sports. I think there's a lot of things financially that we've talked about them on this show over the years. It starts with who in that council, who is speaking for the student athlete, right? The players, and until the players have their own union, union might not be the best word, but like their association their representation in this. We're going to have the same things happen. So, I think there's a lot within I actually dread this part of the year because I've spent the last month writing about and talking about court rulings and financial stuff and tampering and all the stuff that I don't like about college football. I think the games on the field are fun. The storylines on the field are fun, but off the field, it's not as fun, as you know.
Well, and you just mentioned tampering earlier. I talked about that came out yesterday that the NCAA says, all right, that's it. We're going after you. They've taken a year and a half off because of the House case settlement and this and that. But after all of these high profile instances, and the one thing Kurt Signetti, he also said our players are being tampered with. Name names.
Right.
He named names. Name names. I want names. Throw them out there. Unless that happens, this doesn't happen. If Dabo Sweeney does not do what he did, this is not happening. And so kudos.
Dabo gets a lot of criticism. I'm glad he did that one. I'm glad he threw that one out there.
Go Dabo. You're behind on the world of college football now and the transfer portal, but maybe that's why he spoke up, because he's so far behind, he can't afford to lose guys. He doesn't know how to replace them.
Right. Yes, for sure. And I think that's something that should come with penalties that land on the coach. If you're going to tamper, it should land on the coach. If your assistant coaches tamper, it's going to land on the head coach, suspensions and you miss games. And I think if that starts to happen, and they're harsh penalties, then tampering will stop. It's like anything else. You got to carry through with the punishment.
Well, absolutely. And I also believe there has to be punishment for any player that engages in the tampering. You know the rule.
Right.
It's no different to me than a guy coming up to a player, a kicker, and saying, dude, miss your extra points in your field goals today. No difference to me. You have the option, it's your option which way you're going to address that right then. You're either going to nope, or you're going to do it. Right. And so if you engage in it, you get it too. Bam, you're gone.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something. I know we've talked about targeting this week. That was the other one that came up. It's about time that we reform.
Yeah, but it's not close. It's not nearly to being close enough. The suspension's got to go.
I agree. You gotta shouldn't miss the second half of it's impacted too many games. It impacted the title game. Miami was missing a defensive back in the first half of the CFP championship game. I've always thought it should be like a yellow card, red card type deal. But again, you're still leaving it subjective. There were a couple that I watched last year, and I'm like, how and what is that? That's not even close to targeting, and the guy's out of the game and then out of the next game. I think one that stuck out to me last year was Michigan, Jayshon Barham, a linebacker. He sacked the quarterback. The play happened, and it went on. Then they review it for targeting. He misses the first half of the game against Oklahoma the next week. And it was a terrible call, and they don't rescind it. I get it's a judgment call on the field, but it's impacted too many games. I think you're right. They should get rid of the ejection. I've always kind of been a proponent of make it a 30-yard penalty. You know what I mean? Like then double the personal foul. I mean, that's a third of the field. I get that, but
I'd be fine with that in lieu of the suspension. I hate that. It's especially because unless you could just tell that. Well, I'll give you an example. The play in the national championship game where that was not called, where Fernando Mendoza had his head taken off, clear as day. And I'm like, how do you not? First of all, how do you miss it? How do you not review it? But anyway, that is a pretty definitive. Without question.
We were talking about it after the game. It was at halftime when Signetti referenced it in his halftime speech. That's one where you probably boot the guy, or it's a really harsh penalty. That was targeting.
The thing is, though, it's so subjective because then there are the other times where the defender has already, left he's making his move to tackle. He's left he's shot himself forward and the offensive player continues to change direction, continues to move. Man, I'm like, that drives me insane when that happens. I'm
I
like,
wonder what
that's not on the defender.
I would love to know the percentage. Like, it's probably something I should do or ask for. Like every targeting call that happened last year, every targeting ejection, I would like to go through them, and then how many, if you watched every single one of them, and wonder how many of those looked like incidental, just because there's guys moving at an incredible rate of speed. And sometimes, the ones that get me are when a guy's shorter than another guy or so much taller. Like, what's he supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like those kind of things, where you're playing at a high rate of speed, and sometimes it's accidental. It happens, but they keep changing the definition of it. As soon as you lower your head, it's forcible contact to the neck area. It seems like they keep adding to it, and it makes it that much easier to call.
Yep. Or some of the people switching gears back to that Trump meeting in a week. Some of the people that cracks me up. Tiger Woods. What the hell is Tiger Woods going to add to this?
I'm looking for the roster. Where are you seeing this roster?
Well, I don't even have the full one. I just pulled it up on. I just Googled it, and it's on the Athletic.
I know. I heard Charlie Ward is one of them. Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward and Tim Tebow.
There you go. So
Urban Meyer and you mentioned Nick Saban. I'm not a fan of Nick Saban. Everybody wants him to be. I don't mean not a fan of Nick Saban personally. I'm not a fan of him being any kind of a commissioner or any of that. He is SEC to the bone. He makes that more than clear. I don't know what the beef with him and Cignetti is. I personally believe that there's something going on there. He never picks IU to win. Once, I think, last year, he never speaks really well. Like you can tell with Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin, those are his guys, man. Kurt Cignetti does not hold that place in Nick Saban's
maybe, and this is pure speculation. So I get the vibe that you're talking about. I understand that. Like, I know that, they've been on game day together, and there
I know. Well,
jokes and back and forth.
It's casual. It's not going to be public.
I mean, this has nothing to do with Nick Saban, but Cignetti's done it in a completely different fashion. Like through the portal, through the development, through the I think he did, and he talked at length at the title game about what he learned about, player evaluation from Nick Saban. When you're talking about the lower half of the body and some of those things with ankles that we'd heard with no two men can make watching athletes' ankles more interesting than Nick Saban and Kurt Cignetti, and how to evaluate an athlete simply by looking at their feet. But they did a great job of that, and I think Cignetti's done this in a little bit of a different way than Saban, who his way of building a machine was developing 4- and 5-star talent, and by the means which
they were able to lock them down, and they didn't go anywhere for 5 years, and the SEC had their own NIL program. But
one of your commenters actually, Brian, the reason Saban quit are the reason Sig is excelling. That's kind of what I'm driving at in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great point, and perfect. What's up next for you, brother?
I am working on some of our SN 140. Our 140th anniversary is coming up in a few weeks, so we're working on that. I've got a feature about Elliot Cadeau's up today, and I'll be helping with combine coverage over the next couple of days. So I'm going to stay busy and keep an eye on college basketball. Like you said, I can't wait to watch Illinois Michigan tonight. It's going to be a good game.
Looking forward to it. Make sure you're following our friend Bill. If you're not, you're missing out on great coverage, especially over at the Sporting News, along with our buddy Mike DeCourcy. Brother, have a great weekend. Hopefully see you next week.
Hey, no problem. I'll talk to you then, Jim. Talk to you then. Thank you.
Bill Bender here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. Big thanks, Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Zach Osterman. Most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we've got no reason to be here, and we really appreciate it. We're back on Monday. We'll have complete coverage of things from the weekend's action at the Combine, Fernando, blah, and all of that. Go out, have yourself a great one. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. And don't forget the post-game show on Sunday with the Laskowskis. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.